you have to think about that as if it's you. As if it's you and your children, because that is what is happening.
Yep.
But the way it's handled in a news cycle, not that different from how they released the Epstein files, where those people that you hear these sensational stories about girls and you forget they're fucking people. It plays out in the news. It takes forever for it to go through this news cycle after news cycle. You have misinformation, disinformation. The information changes. Most people tune out once they get the story they want to hear. And you have now decided that these are not children anymore.
Yep.
You tear down the house, then you put up the rent. You pocket the cash, and you crush all dissent.
Hello and welcome to the Red Diaper Pail, episode 29. We are recording on March 15th, the evening of the Oscars. And this is a podcast about art, culture, history, politics, technology, and parenting from the left perspective. I'm Simone.
And I am John Paul.
Did I say episode 29?
You did.
It's episode 29, which is more than half a year of episodes?
It would seem so.
Wow. That's crazy. Well, there you go. Have you watched all the best films?
Nope.
The nominees?
Nope.
Me neither.
I don't even know it's been nominated.
Like a bunch. There's like 9 of them. I don't know why they're nominating so many.
9 aren't nominated for Best Picture?
Yeah.
9.
Well, 9 might be one too many, but it is a bunch of them. It's like Secret Agent, Begonia, Marty Supreme, Train Dreams, F1, Sinners, Frankenstein, Hamnet, One Battle After Another, and Sentimental Value. That's actually 10.
I've seen 2 of those, I think.
We've seen 2 of these. The one we need to see and we'll actually like is The Secret Agent, and we probably would like Sentimental Value. And we probably should watch F1 because it's Brad Pitt. And we started Frankenstein. So
did we start Frankenstein?
Yeah.
Wait, it's Frankenstein
the one on Netflix. Guillermo del Toro, the one that starts with him in the Arctic.
Oh, okay.
Or Arctic.
Okay. All right.
It didn't seem very compelling from the first 20 minutes, but I'm sure it's great.
Aren't you glad we recommended we got the best movie of the year and saw 2 of the 10 that were nominated?
Clear about that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And our second favorite movie of the year was K-pop Demon Hunters. So
I bet you the One Ballot for Another takes it though.
I bet you it doesn't.
And I bet you she gets best actress or best supporting actress.
Perfidia,
Beverly Hills.
I don't think they're gonna get I don't think they're gonna get Best Picture. I think everyone has decided it's kind of basic to be a fan of Paul Thomas Anderson.
Who would you like to bet?
No. All right. Well, best of luck.
What does Kalshi say is the most likely to win?
Kalshi says the most likely to win Big Picture is One Battle After Another. 89% chance. Sinners, 12% chance. I actually think Sinners.
God damn, 89% chance.
Yeah.
Are you lucky?
See, I told you it was a basic criticism. Oh, best director also Paul Thomas Anderson. I mean, at least it could best director to Ryan Coogler, I'd say. Actually, they should give the best actor to Michael B. Jordan, I think. That's what I think the most impressive part of Sinners was like the music and his acting.
I agree. I think he gets it. It was the most impressive part of that movie because every other part of that movie made no fucking sense at all.
Well,
and yes, I said it. Come at me. It's completely nonsensical.
I like the music. K-pop Demon Hunters is nominated for Best Animated Feature Film, and it is 99% likely to win.
Everyone else even.
Arco, In Your Dreams, Little Amelie, and Zootopia 2.
No, Zootopia 2. Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be K-pop Demon Hunters.
Best Original Song, Golden. Highly likely to win. No kidding. Best Casting, One Battle After Another. I could see that.
Is One Battle After Another winning Best Picture and also Best Casting and also her getting Best?
She's not going to get Best Supporting.
I bet she does. If that happens, does that prove that woke isn't dead?
It's not a very woke. Well, Best Supporting.
It's kind of a woke.
Best Supporting Actor, Sean Penn, is highly likely to happen. Which makes sense because he was
very compelling.
Something out. Amy Madigan is looking like she's going to get Best Supporting Actress.
I like how we're recording this the night of the Oscars, so by the time anyone listens to it, they'll all know that we're wrong about all these things.
Madigan just got it, actually.
Oh, really?
And she was in the horror film Weapons.
Okay.
And she's like an older lady. She's 75 years old.
Good for her.
Yeah.
That's also a woke choice. Giving it to an older person.
It's something. I mean, the baby boomers, like, really, they're really an underprivileged class. I should give them more things. I think at some point you should watch Hamnet, but I'm never ever watching it.
I'm
Never.
gonna watch Hamnet and I'm gonna watch Begonia.
I'll watch Begonia, but I got it spoiled.
Spoiled? Well,
Chapo Trap House spoiled it for me.
today?
Yep.
Come on, guys.
Well, they said it.
The warnings.
We're gonna give major spoilers, and I just was like, I'm gonna listen to this because I might as well know what happened.
So how did I listen to this and I have no idea what you're talking about?
The 2-hour-long episode on the Oscars. You listened to the whole thing?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Is it just released today?
I don't know. But they spoil the hell out of Begonia real early.
How did I fucking miss this? What are you talking about?
Oh, maybe they just sent it to me. I'm close friends.
Simone is available to be a guest host at any time.
I could just be a
Chapo.
guest. I think Chapo would do well with me.
That's what I mean.
Anyways, we should do headlines.
Okay.
Do you want to start internationally or domestically?
Let's do internationally.
Well, we're still at war with Iran.
Okay.
We didn't cover this last week. We could have, but there was reports and complaints by U.S. troops the first week of the war with Iran that their superiors were telling them that, and this was multiple people reporting this about multiple different superiors in the army, military, whatever you want to call the military, I guess is the umbrella term.
Armed forces.
That this war in Iran was, quote, all part of God's divine plan. This was, in fact, a holy war.
Okay.
U.S. military, this is The Guardian, U.S. military commanders have been invoking extremist Christian rhetoric about biblical end times to justify involvement in the Iran war to troops, according to complaints made to a watchdog group. The Military Religious Freedom Foundation says it has received more than 200 complaints from service members across the branches
God damn,
of the
200.
armed forces, including the Marines, Air Force, and Space Force. We actually have them.
Me too.
Okay. One complainant, I mean, the Space Force people are doing God's work. One complainant, identified as a non-commissioned officer in a unit that could be deployed at any moment, told the MRFF in a complaint viewed by The Guardian that their commander had, quote, urged us to tell our troops that this was all part of God's divine plan.
I'm personally will only support wars that are against God's will.
And he specifically referenced citations out of the book of Revelation, referring to Armageddon and the imminent return of Jesus Christ. Now, this was March 3rd, was when they had 200 complaints. So I could imagine it's only gone up. And those are just the people complaining.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, concerning. I mean, what it sounds like, what's concerning about this is that it sounds like that the leaders were instructed to say it versus like, oh, there's just a few that feel that they should be saying it. But they were being told that this is one way to talk about this war.
Yeah.
And if I know anything about the armed forces, is there's a chain of command. So if your boss tells you to do something, you have to do it.
You do. You have to do it. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine it's World War III and there's, a guns at your back sending you to certain death and the guy's going, don't worry about it. This is all part of God's plan. And the end is nigh anyway, so don't even worry about it. That's where we're headed.
Does Hegseth think that the end is nigh?
I think that he probably believes that lives expended in the service of America is God's will and that Jesus is coming back eventually, like probably pretty soon, right? Yeah, it's a death cult. Death cult?
Yeah. I mean, does Trump think the end is nigh? I mean, he knows the end is nigh, but
For him. And then
he's not an evangelical. I don't
no, but he believes, as do I think maybe a majority of boomers, that once he dies, the world is basically over anyway. So it doesn't really matter.
Well,
So it may as well be the end of the world because if he's not there, then it really is it. What happens after that's insignificant.
thanks to the good works of the boomers, the world is basically over right around when they die.
They managed to accomplish it.
But that's a correlative.
Yeah.
And it's also causative, but it's not because they're very important.
Yeah, it's pretty wild to have a generation that You got to enjoy maximum American prosperity, and then to cap it off by deciding to leave your grandchildren fascism, right as you were leaving this moral foil. It's quite an achievement. No, I mean, I'm not gonna say which one, but I used to go to a conference where there was I'm assuming a liberal-ish, at least, non-MAGA person who was part of one of these Federal Reserve banks. There's like a system of them, and he was in charge of one of them.
They let you into a conference around Federal Reserve bankers?
They did.
They didn't background check you.
No, they did not. And he would give a speech every year. I went to a couple of them about the state of the economy. This is nothing to do with the economy. It was a social services conference, but because he gave a lot of money, he had the option to stand in front of everybody and talk about the economy. And he would talk about the growth and the importance for growth, because how that's growth is how we pay for everything. And I've been sitting there thinking, we all know that this planet is going to fry our grandchildren alive, and the only way to stop it is to stop endlessly growing things like a cancer cell and start taking seriously like conservation and taking care of the planet. So the only conclusion you can come to about the Federal Reserve Bank is you're a bunch of death cultists.
Mm-hmm.
And this takes that to it's not even subtext, it's just text. Like, we're hoping to bring about the end times, and your bodies are the stepping stones to, your dead bodies are the stepping stones to glory. So
yeah. I wonder what that does for morale. I mean, it really could go either way. Okay, so this war is against Iran, but but Israel is also striking Lebanon fairly mercilessly. And I think we should just highlight for the people the numbers coming out of Lebanon. So Al Jazeera is reporting 850 deaths as of March 15th, over 2,000 injuries, over 100 child fatalities, and more than 800,000 people, including 200,000 children, displaced.
Jesus Christ.
So
because they're like pretty close to Beirut, what they're doing, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of attacks in the suburbs of Beirut, and the death toll in Lebanon is significantly higher than the death toll in Iran as of right now, because the strikes, I think, are just like more significant and hitting, I guess, more civilians.
Yeah, because the Israelis are interested in displacing as many people as possible because they're looking at annexation, unlike in Iran. They're looking for assassination in Iran, but they're looking to annex in Lebanon. I guess Iran told Hezbollah to join the attack on Israel, probably because it makes a lot of sense for Iran to have Israel's attention divided at least a little bit. And everyone is fucking pissed at Hezbollah in Lebanon, including like political parties that were formerly close to them.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense because Hezbollah is like their only functioning military.
Yes.
So
that is true.
It's an odd, like politically, the people in power have said, have denounced them, but they're being attacked and they have no defenses otherwise.
Yeah, but a lot of people's, I think, experience of this is they're being attacked because Hezbollah has more allegiance to Iran than it does to the people of Beirut. And there's a reason why you don't have like a military that's not has no relationship to the state. I mean,
they're hitting southern suburbs of Beirut and quite a bit of southern Lebanon. They're claiming that these southern areas of the country, the buildings they're hitting, are because they're being used by Hezbollah.
I mean, does anyone believe any of this shit anymore?
It's just lies.
I mean, they did the same thing with this school. By the way, you gotta come get your boy Claude, who apparently wants to blow up schools.
Well, according to President Trump, that was Iran, and they took one of their missiles and they dressed it up like a tomahawk. And then they hit their own school. Even though his own people are like, sir, that is not what happened. He's like, they're dressing the missiles up as tomahawks. It's very YMCA. It's very Village People, and it's not me.
So
AIs don't kill people with tomahawks.
I'm not sure why you're apologizing for Claude.
It's not
Claude. You say Claude up and have him answer for himself.
I want to use she/her pronouns for Claude.
Is that like dressing up a tomahawk missile?
I think it's bullshit that we just assume Claude is he/him.
I agree. It is bullshit.
So
that should not be the default.
Blew up the girls' school.
I think it's it.
She blew up the girls' school because she was asked to be very efficient with her targeting.
Oh, God.
And no one decided to check it.
So yeah, no, that's for sure.
Or they did decide to check it, and they said, this is good enough. This is what we were.
You don't have to take any responsibility for anything you ever did. My real question is, if they were asking Claude for targets, no one thought to say, Claude, what are the potential ramifications of making this decision? No one said, Claude, what could possibly go wrong here? Can you list them out for us so we could tell the president not to do?
But the reason they're using AIs to create targeting lists is because it is the most expedient way to get the most amount of targets as quickly as possible. So you can do this sort of blitz against targets.
Mhm.
They fully know the ramifications of it. I believe.
I was saying the attack on Iran, what the ramifications of attacking Iran at all would be.
Oh, I'm sure that someone asked it, and I'm sure that the answer was clear.
And they just said, I mean, there's no indication at all from any expert I've listened to that anyone in the White House had any idea what the consequences of this would
Well,
be.
one thing about talking to large language models, it spits a lot of text back at you. And one thing I do know about most humans is they don't fucking read anything.
Yeah, particularly people in the Trump White House.
They know if they're going to go with the most amount of targets as quickly as possible, that you're going to have quite a percentage that are not targets. Also, I believe it was on purpose. This is a purposeful way to start a fucking atrocious war. What happened in Gaza early on?
Mm-hmm.
They double tapped a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they did this multiple times. But early on, they hit the Al-Shifa hospital. Really early on. Everyone was like, oh my God, they hit a hospital. Oh my God, they double tapped a hospital. And everyone was like, no, they didn't. And then it was like, oh yeah, we did. And it's this sort of like, we did it, we didn't do it. What's the truth? Oh, everyone's moved on. Guess what's normal now? We hit girls' schools, we hit hospitals,
Yep.
we hit aid workers, we trap people while they're trying to get food in lines. This is not, I mean, yes, I have no idea if it was a quote unquote mistake or not the first day of the war, but it's a useful mistake if it is a mistake. And I believe that they do these things on purpose. They put these terrible, atrocious crimes against humanity hits into their sort of wider diversity of tactics because they want to make it clear that that is on the table. They want to make it clear that they will lie about it until they won't lie about it. And then they'll just admit that it was them and no one will give a shit and no one can stop them.
Yeah, they're doing the bare minimum to give their supporters cover, which is, here's the thing you can say, which is, and it wasn't us, we think it was Iran, which I saw all over Twitter, because Iran did it to themselves. Why is the news reporting anything otherwise? And by the time the truth comes out, we've all moved on to the next horrendous thing that they've done. So it's an effective way of giving,
it's also effective
cover to your
once the
supporters.
truth comes out to be
Blasé.
have it treated with impunity.
Yeah.
Because now you've got another message here, which is like, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, we already got away with it, so why are you bringing it up again?
And what it really is doing is dulling all of us to believe that children, you know who was coming to the school before it was double tapped? Their parents.
Yeah.
The adults in that school had brought the children into a sanctuary to keep them as safe as possible. They had contacted the parents. The parents were coming. Almost everyone in that sanctuary was killed. You have to think about that as if it's you. As if it's you and your children, because that is what is happening.
Yep.
But the way it's handled in a news cycle, not that different from how they released the Epstein files, where those people that you hear these sensational stories about girls and you forget they're fucking people. It plays out in the news. It takes forever for it to go through this news cycle after news cycle. You have misinformation, disinformation. The information changes. Most people tune out once they get the story they want to hear. And you have now decided that these are not children anymore.
Yep.
You didn't grieve for them. You didn't stop and think.
Yeah.
You didn't put yourself in their shoes, not once.
One of the things I've been thinking about is, like, if Iran was able to strike the mainland, right? If they're able to, like, blow up, let's say, an office park outside of, like, the Pentagon, and how people would be like, Trump, you fucked this up. Now you've created a situation where American lives are actually in danger, and what the response would be, and how outraged you'd be anywhere in the world watching U.S. citizens grumble about this behavior, but do nothing about it until their own lives became under risk, and then suddenly found a way to say, this war is a failure and inexcusable. It's already unexcusable because they're killing innocent people in Iran. You don't have to wait till it's an American that's been killed. It's right. I mean, there's the victory of American propaganda is really to convince you that everyone out there is kind of like half dead anyway, kind of like
they're not real.
Not real. They're sort of a statistic. They're sort of like, I saw tweets online that were like, these girls were better off because they would end up growing up having to wear a hijab anyway.
Oh my God.
So like they're not people. They're not like you and I. They're basically a life of suffering or a life, at best, a life of service to the United States empire in some capacity, whether it's worker or embedded with the military or something like that. And people die all the time. What are you gonna do about it?
The empire's coming down.
It is coming down. It is coming down, which is good news, except for what's going to replace it ain't that much better. But
Well, we'll see. So
can't be worse.
I think that if you're trying to follow the war in Iran, it is atrocious. You should pay attention that this is not just Iran, it's Lebanon and Gaza. Both areas are under assault,
Mhm.
and Israel is treating those fronts as an annexation, and they're treating Tehran and Iran as a balkanization. But, we will continue to update you with the casualties. Okay, so this one's a little wonky,
Okay.
but you got to bear with me. So, National Labor Relations Board, are you familiar?
I am familiar, but why don't you explain what it is to our audience?
I don't even know. I mean, it's basically the government bureaucratic function that mediates, I would say, labor and labor rights between the companies and the workers. But unions use like the rules of the NLRB and the protocols and processes of the NLRB to like make demands and decide what they can and cannot do. And there's a board. The board is a group of people that can make decisions about various like labor and HR and like workplace fairness issues. There's a bigger thing happening with the NLRB right now, which I did not know until I started doing some research about it, which is that it is currently the board itself is not appointed by nor controlled by the president. So there is, because obviously that would be concerning. Can you imagine if Trump was appointing these people?
I mean, it'd be concerning, but I hate to ask, who does decide who's on the?
Oh, I don't even know. But
this is the thing about the Trumpist area, and I kind of agree with Glenn Greenwald in this, is that anything insulated from the president means it is de facto put into the hands of someone who is not elected.
So no.
So like, what the fuck? Speaking of the Fed,
NLRB is a split power structure between the White House and the Senate. The White House cannot fire them. The 5-member board, the judges, the president nominates them, the Senate confirms them.
Okay.
But the president can't dispose of all of them.
So he's stuck with them until one retires, like the Supreme Court?
He's stuck with them, and there's currently there's lawsuits being pursued that it is unconstitutional that he cannot control.
Who's on the board?
And because of that, it's actually gummed up
people are crazy.
It's gummed up the works of the NLRB, and there's quite a bit of things that are just not going through the NLRB. So a lot of the unions are saying, if you are gonna make this a mess, a technocratic mess,
So we'll just go do our
we'll
own
just
thing?
go do direct strikes, which would be much better.
Yeah, do that. Don't threaten to do that. Do that.
Yes. And that is happening a bit. Like the Amazon, Chris Smalls and the Amazon strike, the Starbucks strike, those were not those were not
pre-approved
strikes. But aside from that,
Well, we're talking about some time ago now.
there the news to bring you today.
Trump
There-
has appointed himself a lifetime appointment to the NLRB.
Yeah. There is news around the captive audience legal battle. The captive audience is that before 2024, your employer could make you sit in a meeting where they are training. I remember doing one as a Starbucks barista where you had to listen. I literally was like a VHS tape. I had to listen to a training where it explained to me that the terrors of unions and why you should not be in one and why it's bad for you.
It sounds like employees, associates, they're listened to.
And without going through union politicians.
Of course not. You see, management recognizes our associates. We know that our associates' ideas are good. Associates even came up with suggestions about our work schedules.
And they use some of them right away.
Russell, you know of any union that works like that?
Of course not. All unions work at is taking a cut out of my pay.
Yeah, take your money and spend it to help in political campaigns. It help people I don't even vote for.
Me too. But they're never gonna do that to me again.
So this is called the captive audience meeting, and it's standard. Everyone used it. But in 2024, a case was brought against Amazon that the NLRB ruled on that said you cannot have a captive audience meeting. You cannot tell workers that they have to be in the meeting, that they have to be told why unions are bad, that they can't respond to it, and that they can be threatened to be fired if they don't go in the meeting or if they just like scowl during the meeting. The fact that they ruled in 2024 that you cannot have a captive audience meeting
Right.
is being challenged. On March 12th, 2026, a huge coalition called the, quote, Coalition for Democratic Workplaces filed a formal petition for rulemaking with the NLRB.
I mean, what an Orwellian bullshit name.
Saying that they're asking the board to start a formal process to write a new rule that explicitly protects the captive audience meetings. There's a bunch of states that have explicit captive audience meeting bans. So this request would basically say you will overrule all those states. Illinois, California, New Jersey, Rhode Island, a bunch of states.
I mean, I don't believe in states' rights anyway. So.
No, I mean, but you don't. Do you believe? I mean, do you believe in the United States government's rights?
No, don't believe in federal rights. Don't believe in states' rights.
So, anyways, it was like a blitz. It was like a bunch. Like this coalition has everybody in it. It's got like the service work, like the Restaurant of America, all these like business associations. And it's going to the NLRB, and a lot of people who are in like the labor land who like follow this stuff are saying it's a pincher attack where they're attacking the NLRB in its constitutionality in general, and they're also coming at it from like trying to get these concessions to like strip down states that are more protective of workers.
If only they had this kind of planning for attacking Iran.
And also some people would say this is like a indirect opposition to the things that are happening, like with the Starbucks striking, where you have like significant strikes happening in some pretty big companies and there's like very minimal union, but there's like they can't union bust as effectively as they had union busted, and that they're trying to get that power back.
Right.
But what I thought was actually most interesting about this, I mean, obviously we think there should be no captive audience meetings, and I don't know, the NLRB should probably not have Stephen Witkoff and Jared Kushner as the people on it, so probably keep it away from Trump. But I think what's more important here is like the time of like liberal union stewardship through technocratic instruments is dying.
Yeah.
And the unions, and then many of them are just doing this. The workers, the unions should just say, fuck it. That doesn't serve us. There's no reason for us to protect these things.
Yeah.
We don't need the NLRB to organize workers.
Yeah. Because this whole thing was predicated on a power that we have, which is greater than and more important than any kind of technocratic institution, civil society institution, which is we can withhold our labor. And all this stuff is a reaction to the fact that that power can manifest in ways that really harm the ruling class. So everyone made this quiet peace with like, well, we'll go this route because, the union has can make a lot of money, and, we'll get some easy wins, and we won't have to do things like get shot at by Pinkertons, and no one wants to get shot at by Pinkertons. But like at the end of the day, like all this stuff is a veneer which is supposed to like cover over the reality, which is that there is a zero-sum battle happening between workers and their employers, and that workers have a winning hand in that battle. And one important expression of that is the strike, which they could not stop. They could not find a way to get strikes to stop happening.
Yep.
Without giving in to them.
Yeah. I was reading the labor reporter for In These Times. His name's Hamilton Nolan, and he's releasing a book called Organize or Die. Well, it's not called Organize or Die. He had an article about Organize or Die, but the book's called The Hammer, Power, Inequality, and the Struggle for the Soul for Labor. And he's basically saying that unions right now it's an organize or die situation. And they've actually been driven towards organizing because there's so many like bureaucratic internal attacks to these structures that they're like, it's having like a kind of a counter effect where it's creating more.
It's not the only place that's happened. Is this maximalist take all or nothing approach, this anti-liberal approach, is bolstering the counter to all the moderates and the reformers that had a position of like, let's go along to get along, have less and less legitimacy because obviously there's no appetite on the other side
and you see it
to like demonstrate that position is tenable.
You see it in political education and political mass organizing too, where if you're in like the Twin Cities, you see people that were not politicized and we're certainly not radicalized, and certainly we're not like, oh yeah, I'm a mutual aid organizer, suddenly being like, well, yeah, that's what we do, because we stop state power from abducting our neighbors.
Yeah.
But it's like the fascists create a backlash that allows for proper radical organizing.
Yeah. I mean, look at Iran. Do you think there's a strong history of reformers and moderates who wanted to talk with the United States and believed it was achievable? How do you think their political fortunes are faring? North Korea is like, look, we should really make a deal where we give up our nuclear weapons. I think that people in Washington look feasible. Like that middle way is completely gone when you resort to pure force. I mean,
Hamilton Nolan's basically like, we need militant mass organizing. We don't need little itty bitty unions only asking for, can we get an extra contract a day here? We need them to be organizing for demands for their entire class of people, their entire community of people, and we need it ASAP. And he's following all of these sort of advances, and that's why he's I guess he's ready. Anyways, he can come on the podcast, but. One of his recent headlines is Unions Without Strikes, and it's an analysis of why all unions do. All they do is collectively bargain away. They're like basically their own they just bargain and bargain and bargain and write contracts. And slowly they've just diminished all of their fucking power. They don't have any, most of them, and this is what we saw this also coming out of Minnesota. Everyone's like, do we know how to strike? Can we strike? And everyone's like, not really.
Yeah.
We don't know how to do that yet.
It's not that easy.
We have a bunch of things we have to learn to do that. We should probably do that, but like, we got to learn some stuff because they haven't done it in 100 years.
Right. And then the thing that annoys me too is then they turn around and there's someone who's scolding everyone for being like, don't act like don't lecture workers, unionized workers, like it's so easy. Which is like, first of all, no one's lecturing the workers; they're lecturing you, the union hacks, who gave away all this capacity because it was so easy and so profitable.
Yeah. All right, I got one more horrible headline. On March 9th, Governor Mark Gordon. Can you name what state he's in?
Mark Gordon. Oklahoma.
Close, maybe?
How's your U.S. geography?
Wyoming?
Okay, all right.
Like
Closer than we are.
He signed into law.
This is going to be a fracking thing? I'm guessing fracking.
No, a heartbeat law.
Oh, no. It's signed into law?
A heartbeat law basically makes abortion illegal after 6 weeks because that's when you can detect a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
It prohibits abortion once embryonic cardiac activity can be detected. I mean, the law doesn't even call it a fetus. It's embryonic cardiac activity, which is typically around 6 weeks of gestation, often before most people know they're pregnant. Yep. Performing a prohibited abortion in Wyoming is now a felony, punishable for up to 5 years in prison.
Okay.
And it will revoke your medical license.
What about the mother?
The law includes an exception for the medical emergencies to save the life of the mother, but it does not include exceptions for rape or incest.
Okay.
These heartbeat laws and a no rape or incest exception is one of the more extremes, but there's a bunch of states that have these now. It is being challenged in the courts, and as of March 15th, 2026, a new lawsuit has already been filed by a coalition of plaintiffs. They're seeking a judge to block the law immediately, ensuring and arguing it violates healthcare freedom.
Okay.
There are abortion clinics in Wyoming. I don't think there are many, but there are some. And obviously those are now in extreme legal limbo. I mean, no one's getting... The number of abortions happening before 6 weeks is so negligible. So it immediately, I mean, 6 weeks is so early that you've detected you're pregnant at your first missed period, and then you've immediately figured out how to get an abortion, which is challenging to do, especially in states where they like don't have sex ed and shit.
Right.
So they've got people whose jobs, nurses, doctors, who now don't know if they can do anything for their patients while this is held in some sort of legal limbo.
There's not going to be any more abortions in Wyoming after this. Everyone's going to have to do the same way they were across state line.
Other states have gone back and forth where it's like, it's legal, it's not legal, it's legal, it's not legal. And they just bounce back and forth and as with the courts.
We'll see. I mean, it's very clever because you imagine a total ban gets a lot more people riled up, but you'd make about the heartbeat and people go, heartbeat. Oh, yeah. That means something. But then you don't have to have a conversation about the fact that it's essentially a total ban because it's happening so close to conception that it's functionally impossible to get an abortion in time. So
Oh, there's exactly one abortion clinic in Wyoming, and they're the ones who filed the lawsuit. It's one clinic was providing services to all of Wyoming. So, and now they can't do anything past 6 weeks. So you'd have to go to Colorado. So just well, let me let you know where you need to go. You could go to Colorado. No gestational limit. Head to Colorado. That's where I'd start. Don't go to South Dakota. Don't go to Idaho.
these are
Waste of time to go there because they are also total ban states.
these are really big states with a lot.
They're
of
massive states.
Yeah, it's hours and hours and hours to get across them.
I mean, just having one clinic in a state that big
It's crazy.
is crazy. And probably, I don't know this, but probably if there's only one clinic, there's probably was a ton of red tape already around abortions, probably including things like you have to go, you have to get the ultrasound, you have to wait 24 hours, you have to fucking stay in a hotel in Billings, Wyoming, or where is that? I don't know if that's a town in Wyoming. It could be. Yeah. I mean, his own signing letter did call the law fragile and admitted that it would probably go to court before it could be a policy. Well done, Governor. Well done. Well,
That's some horrible headlines.
sorry about that.
As you grow old, your pies will fade. As you grow old, your pies will fade. As you grow old, your pies will fade.
And you have the artifact this week?
I do. So,
Something uplifting, I hope.
well, sure. About a week ago, a study was released by King's College London looking at Gen Z's positions and opinions on gender roles.
Okay. Well, I know that Gen Z has been infected by the trans mind virus. So they're one, they don't believe in gender, and two, they are going to save us all because they're really progressive, transgressive, and anti-authoritarian.
Yeah, the data would point to Gen Z having more traditional gender roles ideas than the boomers. So there's been a bit of a regression.
So millennials are the only good generation. Like humanity's produced
Like-
one good generation. It was millennials.
Yeah, like we peaked it.
Humanity peaked at millennials. We have to look up at boomers and down at zoomers and be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but I mean, we
They had one shining moment.
we
We're like, Obama is not progressive enough. And then it's just fascism when you decide.
and it's like just as we're realizing that really all of us just are communists, the world's gonna fall apart, and
Yeah.
that it's gonna, and then Gen Z like trad wife fascist community will be the remaining group that gets to go to the bars colony.
Oh my gosh! Just when you thought it was safe to be like, yes, I'm a communist, that will be the
No, our
unrealistic.
children will be turning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so almost a third of Gen Z men agree that a wife should obey her husband, is the big stat that's all over the headlines.
Okay. Should obey their husbands as a general rule.
That 1/3 say a husband should have the final word on important decisions. This is according to a global study of over 23,000 people.
The final word?
Yes.
I was going to ask how many of them believe that the husband should also obey the wife, but I guess that precludes that situation.
This includes India, Canada, Republic of Ireland, Malaysia, South Africa, Turkey, the United States, Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, and a subset of other countries.
So this is global. This is not like
Global.
United States or even like developed countries. Okay.
Research stuff by Ipsos and in the UK and the Global Institute for Women's Leadership at King's Business College at King's College London. They chose to mark International Women's Day by releasing this report.
How's that going?
Maybe they were like, it's going to be good news. Like, were they scheduled this a few years?
Right.
Half.
Right. When they polled the boomers, they similarly polled a global audience.
They polled boomers, Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z across these global audience
Oh,
to identify and plot the generational differences.
so they're not comparing Gen Z at 20 with boomers at 20.
No.
They're comparing where boomers are now, where Gen Z is now. Okay.
And they found the things that, differences between generations on gender roles included questions like a woman should not appear too independent. So the percent agree for men and women, thinking that for baby boomers is like 12%. 12% of men think a woman should not appear too sufficient versus, 9% women. And it goes slightly up for Gen X, 16%. It goes up to 22% for millennials, and it's up to 24% for Gen Z. And the women rating this also is going up. It's not as high. So, 24% of Gen Z men are reporting that women should not appear too independent or self-sufficient, and 15% of women, which is like 100% increase from where boomers are pulled.
Okay.
Men are being expected to do too much to support equality. 44. This is a terrible one. 45% of baby boomer men agree with that. 59% of Gen Z men agree with
That men are being asked to do too much to support it. What are they being asked to do? What is one thing they're being asked to do?
I mean, I did ask you to put the fitness sheet on the bed with her earlier today, and you did act a little indignant.
It's just because I'm very sore from the gym.
Here's
That is, what are they being asked to? What are they being? Are they mean that they're being asked to do things in equal ways as women in the household, or are they being asked to do things so that people will be equal? Because they're not being asked to do either of those things, but they're certainly not being asked to do the latter of those two.
I don't know.
I guess it's however they interpreted the question,
Yeah.
maybe.
That's
I'd love to interview some of these people.
Real women should never initiate sex. 7% of baby boomer men and women agree with that. 21% of Gen Z men agree with that. Like, that's a huge jump. And the last one is, we've gone so far in promoting women's equality that we are discriminating against men. 42% of baby boomer men believe that. And
42?
57, 42 in baby boomers, 52 for Gen X, 54 for millennials, and 57% for male Gen Zers.
Yeah.
So Gen Z men have more traditional expectations of their own behavior and their own choices and the female counterparts choices than baby boomer men do.
Mm-hmm.
They also have some weird conflicts and tensions. Like, Gen Z men are the group that's most likely to believe that a woman who is successful is more attractive versus baby boomer men. But Gen Z rate it higher, but also like are pissed off about it, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's
I have a confused boner.
30% of Gen Z men believe that men should not say I love you to their friends, compared to 20% of baby boomers. And if you are less emotionally available and worse at male friendship than baby boomers, I mean, you should just give up.
I mean, they didn't ask how many of those men actually said I love you. It's just I have a theory here.
Please.
And it contradicts the theory of the article, which is that people are getting more conservative.
Well, just to be clear, I haven't given a theory yet.
Okay.
I'm giving you just the stats. There's a million. There's a bunch of different
interpretations of this. Okay.
Mostly.
So they probably have mine then. But
no. What's your interpretation?
My interpretation is that younger men have much more traditional views of women and dating because they're insecure and immature and freaking out, and women don't like young men as much because women, I think that this is true, is that women are cultured to be more attracted to like competence, and young men are pretty fucking incompetent. And as they get older and they get a little bit more secure and a little bit more independent, have esteem that's independent from women, or at least have an understanding of like what women care about, and just don't take it as personally or don't take it as much of their sense of like value in the world, then they are capable of having much more like permissive attitudes about the women in their lives. I guess permissive may be the right word. Actually, I'm thinking of something more of like accepting, or like feeling less threatened by, maybe.
I know what you're saying, because you are asking like a man who's 18 to assess this, and then a man who's 70,
Right.
And the lived experience of the man who's 70 is impacting him just as much as like perhaps the generation's ideas about these things.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy for imagine a 70-year-old man of any generation to be like, what do you mean she's not allowed to initiate? Are you crazy? Like, why would I give a shit about that at all? There is another thing, which is that there is a contingent of men now who are just fascist.
Yes.
And there's always fascists, but there's now like a growing contingent of them
Yeah.
who, regardless of what they would think normally, have been like Andrew Tated into believing
Right.
a bunch of stuff that they don't actually.
There's definitely a social contagion that is fascism / manipulation of masculinity and ideas around masculinity to behoove like fascist ideologies. And that is like rampant in certain people's lives, and it does have an impact on culture. And it's certainly very present for some young men in their social media, which could be skewing them more conservative.
Yeah. Or like,
But
or the parts of them that are like ambivalent that get like reaffirmed by like access to this stuff.
So maybe they're starting off more extreme potentially,
Yeah.
and then we don't know how they'll react to like asking a 20-year-old like, is it less masculine to take part in childcare duties? It's sort of silly, right? Because it wasn't silly. They should know how to fucking answer that. And if my children answered that with anything other than, "Are you serious?"
Then they're out on the street.
They would be out in the street. However, a 20-year-old's never taken care of a child. You assume these young men are they're boneheads.
Yeah.
They don't know anything. They're extremely insecure. Their frontal lobes underdeveloped. All the women around them are better at everything. And like they might start to catch up.
Well, I was gonna say, and the women around them are immature boneheads too. And they're
but not like they're on different levels.
Well, let me put it this way. If you're a 40-year-old dating 40-year-old women, your dating pool is going to be less superficial, less shallow, more mature than a 20-year-old dating 20-year-olds.
True.
And that can give you the wrong idea about the nature of people, just because if your experience with women is 18 to 20-year-olds, you're going to have the wrong idea about what
I
women
think
are
that
like.
it's probably really wrong-headed to put the locus of focus here on that they have shitty women in their lives and therefore have this idea. I think the women in their lives are probably pretty good. Probably making them feel pretty insecure. They're probably, going to class, getting jobs, wearing cute outfits, taking care of themselves, and can run a laundry machine. And the men are like, ooh, and it makes them shitheads.
Yeah.
And
No, I
and as their frontal lobes develop and as they catch up, honestly, now that we have a perfect experiment in this house of a boy twin and a girl twin, we can really play this game out. We're on different developmental trajectories. So if you catch them still early, young adults, they're still like, there's a lot of reason that the men are probably worried about what's going on with their position in the world.
Yeah.
And what's also interesting about this study is that when you ask them about their own views, like in Great Britain, 14% of men personally felt that women should do most of the childcare. But when you ask them what they think the society believes, 43% believe that women are expected to be primarily responsible by their society. So
more men believe that society expects it than they personally expect.
Yeah. So they're exaggerating, or they're seeing a more conservative gender norm society than they are necessarily personally reporting, which is also very interesting because it makes you wonder if this is like the toxic masculinity virus that's sort of taken over social media.
Well, I think a lot of people typically feel less conservative than the society that they live in. I don't think that's an unusual experience.
Really?
Probably on a lot of things, yeah. That they feel well.
Yes, I do.
You feel way less conservative than the society you live in. So you are very likely to be like, this society is sexist, but I'm not that sexist.
Yeah, but do I think this society has sex? Well, I guess I do think I would report that society has sexist.
That one's a tough one, right? Because
if you've got any awareness of the inequity and an awareness of certain like
then you would answer like
cultural things like trad wife syndrome, you'd be like, oh yeah, people think it.
Yeah.
While respondents in Great Britain were less likely than average to personally hold traditional views, they still felt that society held traditional expectations.
And those people are probably right. The really interesting thing about that is only 14% were willing to admit they had traditional views, when that's probably much higher than
in Great Britain, though.
Well,
so I don't know. This is a global study. It's going to have very
I'm willing to bet that the number of people who expect their female partner to do more domestic labor is higher than 14% in Great Britain, even if that was all they.
Well, that's true. That's true.
The real question is, when did I overtake you in maturity?
I was reading horoscopes to our 8-year-old and his best friend, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, that's so right!" And then I do Virgo, and I do Virgo, and I've always been like, I'm clearly a Virgo. I'm a Virgo. I'm like detail oriented, process oriented, like kind of high strung. And I'm reading it to our eldest son, and he's like, "Mom, you're nothing like that." I think
That's hilarious.
I think it's because I'm married to you.
And that made him think that you couldn't possibly be that way because
I think that I have 5 kids. I'm married to you. I've
you've been up on all the
I've
Virgo.
let go of a lot of Virgo-ness, and you do a lot of it for me. I mean, you believe? I mean, like, can you imagine?
That's really funny.
He was like, "You're the opposite of that." I'm like,
That's really funny.
I am.
I certainly don't experience you that way, but I can see how he would.
He probably does. They probably do, which is
They probably see me as much more rigid than you, which is really funny. For what it's worth, I've never really identified with my horoscope.
we read yours and they thought you were.
Mine's always about like wanting to be like a wanderer and adventurer, and I'm a homebody.
No, but it's wanting to like seek truth, find truth and like really understand things. Sure. And our eldest was like, "That's Dad."
He understands me.
But his best friend, it's what was it? It was like likes to do well, a bit of a perfectionist, occasionally aggressive. Eldest kid was like, "That's you."
That's funny.
That's really funny.
They're doing a screen cleanse.
Oh yeah, we're detoxing. We're doing
a
screen
screen
detox.
detox. So the kids are desperate for things to do. I guess they're even willing to listen
I
to
know.
this nonsense.
So, I mean, my sister and I used to have like a zodiac book, and we'd go through all the zodiac. That we spent hours doing that. We should get them a zodiac.
And this is a sign of how mature girls are, as they believe in this hocus pocus.
I mean, I think that our boys believe it now. It didn't take much. Screen detox would explain 2 sides to them. They're all about it. They say we're doing the screen detox so that they can believe in horoscopes and not believe in sexism.
I see. I guess I would prefer that, but only barely. Well, do you want to give me the theories?
Well, a lot of the Instagram theories are like, a lot of people are saying that this is a concerning indicator of rising conservatism when it comes to gender roles globally.
Yeah.
So you can get into like whether this is a backlash, like similar to the DEI backlash. Are we in like a gender backlash? I mean, I think we've been in a gender backlash for like 50 ever since like second wave feminism did as a solid of not doing much. I think we've been in a backlash, but I mean, they rolled back Roe. We're in a backlash, but one of the theories is like this is a set of surveys that gives you significant data that globally there's rising conservatism when it comes to traditional gender norms, and certainly that people perceive conservative gender norms as being the norm and are feeling pressured or at least aware of that. And I actually saw, I think you sent me this morning, that Palantir CEO Alex Karp thinks his AI technology will lessen the power of the highly educated, often female voters who might vote for Democrats and increase the power of working class men. Now, aside from this is New Republic's reporting on this. Aside from that being like an obvious fascist psyop, I guess. Like
wish casting.
Yeah, wish casting. Like what would you do if you're a fascist? You say we need to take power away from educated women, woke women, and we need to give power to fascist working class men. And I'm not saying all working class men are fascist. If you want more information on the fascism, listen to the fascism episode. But
Karp certainly does.
I think you need a contingent of men like that to have fascism. But I guess AI is gonna AI will make intelligence a resource that can be accessed.
Yeah, so Sam Altman says something along
That's what he's saying.
He's saying, so this is again, we're switching to ChatGPT. OpenAI, Sam Altman said that human knowledge will be basically put on a meter.
Right.
That you will
like
anyone will have access to it. It'll just be put on a meter like electricity, which is thanks for stealing all of human knowledge and then putting it behind a paywall. But
brilliant move. What an entrepreneur!
In the comments, just like he said, that's exactly what that is.
You can also read that piece on our Substack.
And you should. But this is a different thing, which is reflecting on the social implications of that, which is to say that
'Cause
the
women-
economic power of women comes from
liberal arts degrees.
liberal arts degrees, from being knowledge workers, right?
Well, and service and care providers.
Well, but those people don't have economic.
Oh, true. Okay,
This
I
is-
hear you.
There's an imbalance
Well-
here because there's
They have economic power if they're unionized. But yes, I hear what you're saying.
there's no unions.
They don't have political power.
No, there's almost no unions left in the
Yes.
country, except for ones that are highly associated with women, like teachers. I guess
And nurses and care providers and
there's
social
all. I mean, of
workers.
course, there's the Teamsters and stuff like that, but like those industries have rapidly been ununionized.
If you want to go with women do it all better, we can do that. They definitely unionize better. Wonder why?
Probably because of traditional gender roles.
Because women are more acculturated to be pro-social and community minded because they have to be in order to like not kill all of the fucking offspring.
Yeah, they're also like not told from the time they're born that they're going to be unattractive to women. They're going to be failures. They're going to be ridiculed by men if they're not independent. And independent in a way that means can do it all for themselves.
Just so you know, women are told from a young age that they're unattractive and
Yeah,
Build as failures.
but not because
Not
they're
for that-
not
not for that
economically
reason.
viable
Yes.
independently. Yeah.
but they certainly are told. We're all told we're unattractive and we'll be failures. Maybe that should be our next parenting episode. How to not instill to your children that they're unattractive failures. What do you think, JP? Anyway, so Alex Karp is saying all these uppity women with their humanities degrees who vote
And their
Democrat
email jobs
and have
where they're
knowledge
making
jobs.
6 figures.
Fuck them. We're going to lay them all off, send them back to the kitchen, get them barefoot, get them pregnant.
I think it's like, and this is also why Zoomers say that they don't mind a woman having a job, because they realize that there's a lot of economic power that they will have access to only by dating someone with it.
Who's going to pay your Crunchyroll subscription?
I pay my own Crunchyroll
If your lady doesn't have a knowledge work job.
So, and there's nothing like, the thing that's funny to me about this is like, you can make the argument that like men are better suited for some like menial labor jobs that are like dangerous and physically demanding. I'm not sure how I feel about those arguments, but you could make the argument that like most women are not going to thrive on like an oil rig or something like that.
Or like harvesting rice in a rice paddy. Who does that work?
Well, but men are just as capable of sitting at a desk and doing emails
They
as
are.
women are, but they're not successful in those spaces because of immature. Like what you were saying, they're too immature, particularly at the part of their career where it would matter, when they're in their maybe late 20s, where they could transition to being a boss
Bitch.
girl. They go boss boy. They can't be a boss boy because they're too immature. And so they.
I mean, just to be clear,
there's this-
most people's careers where they become bosses are like well into their 30s. So they could have grown up by then.
Yeah, they don't though.
They're being outpaced by people who take maternity leaves.
Yeah, they are.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sure. I love men. I do. I do love them.
So we're looking at a situation where everyone has the same votes, but women have this pronounced economic power all of a sudden, and men resent it. And I guess the promise of AI is, why would you ever go to college? Why would you ever learn anything? Because Neuralink will stick your phone into your brain, and then you just pay your subscription fee to OpenAI, and you can have any information you ever want at your fingertips, which is, I guess, we're supposed to believe why women are more successful is they're more highly educated, and not because men are too immature to do something with that education.
I mean, if you Neuralinks most of these men's brains, what are they going to look up most of the time? Seriously, what
You imagine
will they bring up from the canons of human knowledge?
Grandpa's sitting in the lounger with all the family gathered around at Easter.
He's just watching
and
porn.
He's just watching porn. He's sitting there saying nothing because he's just watching porn.
This is the worst version that you could. I mean, thank God David Foster Wallace is dead. I mean, well, this is okay. So theories. There's a theory that people are becoming more conservative. There's a theory that people believe they live in a more conservative society when it comes to gender norms and are reacting or morphing themselves to that. The women have more conservative views than their baby boomer counterparts.
Right, which gives cover to the men in their lives to be more conservative.
I mean, it certainly fits with this narrative that we have in the United States. I don't know what's happening in
You don't know what's
Thailand or Ireland, but I do know that in the United States we have J.D. Vance, we have Erica Kirk, we have trad wives all over Instagram. So there's clearly a reawakening of a conservative gender norm, a society that's built on conservative gender norms.
Yeah. I mean, mostly what that is like a cottage industry of people willing to pay money to see women say certain things. So there's like a lot of grifters all of a sudden who are willing to say whatever to get the money. Some of the least talent, like this, you know about this woman who was like got a C or a D on her paper, and like she's a celebrity overnight, and she's getting paid.
You should give some context.
She wrote a paper about gender, and was failed, and the instructor was put on leave.
This is in Texas, right?
Yeah, but basically she said that because the Bible says that belief in multiple genders is demonic.
Right. Well, I mean, she had a woke professor. She took him down. Good for her.
We should do a dramatic reenactment of her very poor essay. But
I mean, none of these kids. We don't want to talk about Gen Z. They can't write.
Yeah. Can't write. Can't rotate a PDF.
Don't read full books. They're changing curriculum. I mean, I don't want to make this a generation bashing, but they're changing curriculum where it's like, well, it's a lot to expect them to read an entire book. What if we just do parts? What? We can't create people. We can't raise a society that reads full books anymore.
No.
Well, good thing we fed all the books to the robots.
I mean, it is really depressing how much they have dumbed down society.
It's extremely upsetting.
The millennials are the last generation that show a increase in like intellectual abilities and thinking. We're supposed to go up every generation, and we plateaued at millennials. Now it's going down.
Do you know?
It has a lot to do with social media.
Well, you know what it also correlates with?
What?
The introduction of ed tech in the classroom.
Those motherfuckers.
So Gen Z is the first modern generation to show persistent declining cognitive performance compared to their parents. So ever since we've been collecting...
Compared to their parents.
Ever since we've been collecting, Western society has been collecting enough cognitive performance data on students. Mostly this is executive function and IQ. And yes, you should think about executive function. And what should go off in your head is, well, fuck what's going on with social media and screens.
Yeah.
But this is the first generation, Gen Z, to show a decline from their parents.
Yeah.
And it aligns almost perfectly. The beginning of the decline aligns almost perfectly to the introduction of widespread ed tech in the classroom and like one-to-one devices. And some people, and you can read about this in the ed tech piece in our Substack, would argue that ed tech, which is a broad term, and there is use of technology in instruction that does work, and there's evidence that it works. But ed tech as a broad term of using technology in curricular settings, using technology to deliver curriculum or instruction in school settings, is not evidence-based. There's a huge variety of what ed tech can be, and very few of those products are actually evidence-based, that they improve or at least keep steady state the level of learning that a human person could deliver in instruction. And now that there's such significant data that on a widespread usage of technology in the classroom, is widespread decline in performance. And if you look at the NAAP data, it's called the nation's report card. There's very good data on this. It's probably because humans don't actually learn that well unless they're being taught by humans. But rather than take a minute and say, like, what's happening to this generation of people? Not only apparently do they have terrible ideas about gender norms, they also can't read a book. We should stop. We should stop. There's nothing stopping this. In fact, AI-enabled ed tech is pouring into the classroom faster than like traditional ed tech.
Yeah.
And it's,
I mean, that's because there is evidence. There's evidence that it makes shareholders a lot of money.
Ed tech's an extremely successful industry right now. And it has been for 2 decades. It's one of the biggest growing industries, the most successful growing industries of the last 2 decades. It's almost laughable to say, shouldn't we stop and make sure it teaches people things? Because no one
cares about that.
There's no incentive to make sure our schools teach people things.
In fact,
this makes me so bad that I'm like, I have to take all of our children out. We have to do a red diaper school in our home.
Yeah.
And every
diaper school.
We'll never release a podcast again, and JP will probably murder some people. But
we'll just live stream us yelling at people.
I mean, yelling at our kids would probably teach them more than ed tech.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think.
I don't think you should yell at your kids when they don't understand a concept.
No. that would be boomer behavior.
No,
I saw this comedian who was
no
was like,
parent of a
"Daddy."
millennial's ever done that, right? Parents of millennials listening.
This guy was like, my daughter asked me, "Daddy, did you go to a therapist when you were a kid too?" And he was like, I couldn't tell my dad when I was thirsty.
Yeah.
If you got injured, you had to hide the fact that you had hurt yourself on the playground. There was no way we were talking about emotional problems.
How many hours of child therapy are we paying for this week? Can you imagine being like a 6-year-old being like, "Hi, Dad, Mom." The millennials are like, "We're gonna get you in therapy. We're gonna get you in therapy right away. We got you on a waiting list for preschool and a waiting list for therapy.
Yep.
Are you thirsty? Do you need a water bottle?"
So
we went to school without water bottles. I'm not quite sure how that happened.
yeah, but we had to rely on water fountains.
They didn't let you use the water fountain though. The
I
water
feel like
fountain,
I don't remember. I don't have this experience of being like, well, they will come and let me use the water fountain.
but the water fountains weren't in the classroom.
No,
So think about how often, like a second grader was going to get a drink of water.
Dehydrated all the time.
Yeah, they used to let me line up after. We could line up after recess. We could line up after gym class, and then you move.
Oh yeah, I did feel like I never had enough time to get water
Yeah,
because people were rushing. Yeah. So when capitalism is in its ascendancy, education is really important because you need managers and technicians and R&D people, engineers. All these people can't do a good job, and they certainly can't have an edge over other countries' industrial sectors unless these people have an education.
Right.
And even like a lot of work is more like the quote unskilled labor requires more thinking by the people who are doing it. So you needed like a basis of education. I think education in the United States probably did start as like childcare so people could work. And that includes like farming all the way through factory work and stuff. But I think it developed as had a useful role in the economy for producing workers that could produce. Of course, they were not enjoying the benefits of this, but I think as society has financialized, the need for educated workers has gone down significantly. And education is a really double-edged sword because the downside is, and this is where like some of the discourse around like elite, like highly educated people not being like workers is problematic because knowledge at the end of the day is just knowledge. And if you're doing something like organizing a political organization that can achieve certain things, you need to be able to think scientifically. You need to be able to understand what people have done in the past and apply that stuff. All that stuff has to do with critical thinking skills and education. And people who are highly educated aren't special other than they were lucky enough to be educated. But that luck can pay dividends to progressive movements when people who have these particular skills share them and use them. And that almost all revolutions and revolutionary movements have a high regard for like knowledge and understanding of asking the members to get educated, to spending some dedication to getting educated because it's a material thing.
Yes, and it's if you're in the market for a political ideology, one reason you might pick communism over fascism is that the communists actually believe that you're allowed to think. No, I'm serious. Like, it's
contrary to popular belief, they like
it's actually a prerequisite for a movement like a true leftist movement to be successful, to have at least a good percentage of your people able to think and to have some level of popular education. It is a prerequisite of fascist, reactionary, conservative movements to take the privilege of thinking away from people. So, I mean, I don't know, you choose.
Yeah. So I think as we got to this financialized, largely consumer-based economy,
it became less important to be able
it became less important to the economy to have a group of people who could think. And I think they're sabotaging education.
Oh, they have absolutely sabotaged education. And in the United States, that there's a strong desire. There is a strong, similar to their long game in destroying Roe, they have had a very long and very transparent. I mean, it's been very clear from a very extremely long time that conservative and moderate forces were very interested in destroying public education and completely privatizing it.
Yeah.
And the progressive, liberal, or capital D Democrats were fairly comfortable watching it happen along the way. There was not been a huge fight back to protect public education, and it's been very clear about what's happening. And now you have a lot of public money flowing to private companies to educate, less and less money going to actual educators and instructors, a dumbing down of the population, a group of parents and children who are used to their data and their experience being fodder for profit, further disempowering and alienation of the actual workers, the teachers, away from their schools. And then we're going to have Trump come in with the knockout punch and just basically say federal money that supports public education can now freely go to private entities like private parochial schools, which brings us back to the traditional gender norms. However, I will point out that they have an economic program here where they are claiming they want to reshore jobs. They want to have engineers. They want to have
No.
technology.
They don't want to have engineers. They want to have factories with AI agents doing the plans and men getting, I guess, some money for doing the assembly and women at home. They don't want engineers.
No. So there's a speculative fiction version of this where you don't need any brains anymore because all the knowledge is stuck in the AI and you just pay to get it out and it comes out, and the AIs are the managers and the workers are the workers. I don't think anyone knows if that's a reality. And I think a lot of these guys are hedging their bets. I do think that when they say we're going to reshore, or they say we're going to pursue AI technology, we're going to send people to Mars, we're going to do this all, and we're not going to do it with a hand tied behind our back because we're going to beat China at this. They will need some educated people to do that. And if they're going to start shutting down more and more visas, they will have to educate the United States population to at least produce a top 5%. So there is a little bit of
the top 5% is going to be the children of wealthy people who consider
go to Montessori schools.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
And go to private schools that are funded with public dollars because of vouchers and shit
But
like
not
that.
Stanford or Harvard because Pete Hegseth has declared war on those ones.
I mean, one of the reasons that they've declared war on those is to reform them. They need to be reformed from places of mass education to places that are bastions of upper class
Harvard
children.
and Stanford are not places of mass education.
Well, what they are now.
They do let some poor folk in.
What they are now, they seem to me, is that we're talking about two different types of people, and it's important we keep them separate. And Harvard is designed to bring these two types of people together: the children of rich people who expect to be employers.
George Bush. I'm serious.
Yeah.
If that guy can get into the elite universities, he's a different category.
Exactly. A C student who is nonetheless wealthy enough that expects to be extremely successful in business.
Extremely sexy.
Extremely sexy. Not a bad looking guy, but
the little pointy, his nose is too small.
Yeah, that's true. Better than his brother.
Yes. Yeah, better looking than his brother.
And then highly intelligent, employed people who are in the upper middle part of the economy, people who are highly advanced at math, things like this, which you need for
the actual smart
stock
people.
trading,
yeah,
or being your accountant, or being your business ideas guy.
The creme of the creme that you let through.
And some of these people go on to found their own they found their own company, and everyone says,
like Zuckerberg.
Yeah, Zuckerberg or Bill Gates or someone like this. Who everyone says, look, we live in a meritocracy. But for the most part, these people work for the George Bushes of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it was...
Or in the case of Bill Gates, the Jeffrey Epsteins of the world.
Jesus Christ. And you needed a place for those people to come together. And you needed a place to say to the really smart kids, look, if you come to Harvard, you're going to meet your future employer. You're going to be able to network and break through from this lower class existences up middle class existences.
That's the promise, is the networking.
But you're not going to be promised to be a capitalist. But the capitalists also needed access to these smart kids. Like, who's the kid who's going to tell me what trades to make for my venture capitalist firm? I need someone to run the numbers.
So are we replacing smart kids with the AI?
Replacing the smart kids. So the capitalists will still need Harvard to network and schmooze and stuff. And their class position is such that we don't have to worry about them using all this education to overthrow their parents.
But you
get rid of all these smart kids.
If Harvard's only made up of George Bushes, This is my AI argument. If you
It used to be.
stunt,
It used to be. They were
you
completely fine with it.
stunt all human knowledge because you're like, we've put it in the AI, we're fine now, and then you just give it to all like 1,000 George Bushes to fuck around with it at Harvard. This is the biggest nightmare.
It is a big nightmare.
And David Foster Wallace would be very upset.
Yes.
And I do think that the people's ideas about gender norms are going to get worse. So bring it back to our artifacts. Oh my god!
I mean, the social implications is
Fucking
actually
nightmare.
that women. The reason why you read this Palantir quote, and if you're one of these guys, you start salivating, is the world was fair when women had to pick one man, and they had to pick one man because they had to pick one man who's willing to support them.
Wait, in this world, I mean, this is a very woke world. They were picking the man, not the father.
Well, they had to.
They were
Ascend.
saddled with one.
They
man.
had to ascend to one man.
I mean, I'm saying that's still very woke. You mean the world was better when the father gave the woman to one man?
Well, the woman had no choice. The
That's what
point
I'm
is,
saying.
sure. The point being that women's financial independence, because they had access to this knowledge economy, has caused them to have expectations for how they're treated.
Mm-hmm.
And expectations for the participation of the man in the household
Yeah.
and child rearing.
Sure.
And also, if they don't want to get married, they're fine, right? If you make all women immediately needing a marriage, a traditional marriage to survive, then a lot of these guys who have no hope of having a long-term relationship because they're fucking disgusting monsters and pieces of shit suddenly have prospects again.
So
that's what they want to hear.
I think this is a correct and valid argument, but a woman does not need to be a knowledge worker or go to Smith or Skidmore or whatever and have a degree in marketing to understand and know that she does not need to be financially dependent on a man. The number of women, especially women of color, who have existed their entire life doing toiling at horrifying jobs because they're not allowed to have cushy jobs and have had no financial dependence on men or anyone else is almost like a pre-existing human condition of capitalism. And the number of women who have come to the political realization that they do not need to be treated in a sexist and violent way because they've talked to other women, not because they got to be a knowledge worker.
Yeah.
So it just proves that that's the actual avenue. I know the notion that Alex Karp is tapping into, and I know this sort of like, oh, if we destroy white collar jobs, won't it be fun that we're fucking women on the way?
Yeah.
I get how appealing that is to a lot of people. And I think it's erasing the economic and political power of many, many, many women who are not knowledge workers. And it's also obfuscating how people actually realize that power. They realize that power not because they get a cushy marketing job and they follow like corporate Natalie on Instagram. They realize that power because they are talking to each other. They're helping each other. They're talking to each other. Some of them realize that power because they just, have a really good income.
Yeah.
But most of them are not actually that politically active, and they're a problem. The ones who realize their power are having fucking consciousness raising circles.
Yeah.
And they are doing childcare for one another. And they understand that they need their mother in the same building because that's how they exist. And they understand that they don't need to be pushed around by a man because the men are non-entities.
Yeah.
So anyways, I
believe in what you're saying, but also at the same time, I can't help but think about the way that our grandmothers seemed to have much fewer options and ended up having to accept a lot worse of a situation than
our grandmothers are interesting.
No, I mean our particular grandmothers, but I think people's grandmothers in general. When you reflect on that generation,
like the Mad Men situation.
Yeah, that and even their parents, even worse. Of like,
I agree.
Why is divorce going up? Well, because women have options, and they really didn't have options.
I think that
they weren't allowed to get divorced. But
I think that the quality of life and the interpersonal dynamics that they were subjected to really shitty. But I don't think that their political and economic power comes from being knowledge workers.
Yeah.
Perhaps their checks that they write to Hillary Clinton come from that. But do you really want them writing more of those checks?
I mean,
You might agree without
listen.
Carp here.
Listen, on the record, women can write checks to whoever they want. That is not up to me. They should not even consider my opinion. Next question.
That's not his position.
However, if you're a man, do not fucking write. Did you see the quote of her saying, "Oh, Trump is really he's found a way to get along with all kinds of people this time around." After he fucking bombs Iran.
So
what a piece of shit she is.
The reason I married JP is because
glad you're finally telling me.
He doesn't care if you have a vagina or not. He does not think that you should be a murderous, sadistic, capitalist hoe.
Career hungry,
and
principleless, spineless,
and he will tell you
monster
that you're doing it wrong, whether you're a man or a woman.
That's true. I do. This
or
me really well.
A gender non-binary person. And sometimes that means in the woke circles he gets a little scolded. But he's right. He's right. And that's why we got married. Well, this was a fun journey.
It was. We went all over the place, but
kept it under 2 hours.
Yeah, thank you. One last thing I would add is I do think that it's now becoming the one thing that I think has shifted culturally across the United States is that saying that trans people are not legitimate in their expressed gender has become a normal thing.
Yep.
And I do think that is one, obviously they want to see cruelty enacted on trans people, but two, they really want gender and sex to be the same thing. They really don't want to acknowledge that there's a difference between the two.
Yeah.
Because they really want, like, what is best for women is giving birth to kids and raising kids and being part of a family.
I agree.
And being out of the workforce. And the trans stuff is a huge threat to them.
Yeah. And I would say the trans stuff under this administration is clearly like paragraph 175 stuff. If you're going to compare culturally and politically how trans rights and trans people are being treated to what happened in Weimar Germany and the Nazi regime, you should read about paragraph 175, because paragraph 175 was like basically made existing laws easier to convict and persecute gay people. And it was a tipping point in what happened to people's rights and how people in the country looked at one another. And Weimar Germany is very interesting when it comes to being gay and being out, because it actually was a culture where that was, at least in the urban centers, was quite present, which should make you think, if you're in an urban center of the United States and you're like, what the hell's happening? I can't walk into a cafe. They're all trans. Like, yes, that's what happens.
Yeah.
That is actually, this isn't like an underground movement that suddenly gets persecuted. These are visible folks that are deliberately targeted.
Yeah.
And I think it's honest. I agree. It's a useful thing for them to control other things about society, women's bodies, gender norms, how many earners you have in a family. And like that sort of scapegoating is important in the fascist agenda, and you should understand the lineage that it has.
Yeah. And they'll say, like, a woman can't be a man because she has a vagina, or a man can't be a woman because he has a penis. But what they really want to say, and what really matters to them at the end of the day, is that a woman can't be a man because a woman belongs in the home having children.
Yeah, women have
it has to do with their behaviors, not with their biology.
Yep.
And what they suppose or what they want to impress upon you makes people happy, or is their natural, God-given,
yes,
often role in society and the family.
And the cruelty of going after a small percentage of the population who are different. Back in Germany, it was gay men, and now it's transgender people, or people who
and so it's a gay men too, but
right. But it's you pick a group, and and that absolute cruelty of targeting them in that way, legally and otherwise, and extra legally, is part of the game plan. It's there's a long tradition here.
Yep.
So we are done and dusted.
Your powers will fade as you grow. Your powers will fade as you grow. Your powers will fade as you grow. You're on the make. and you don't do regret. You're always out for what you can get. You think like a snake, and you ooze like a snail. Let the trail go cold as you swallow your tail. With your low rent skills and your heart of flint, telling your tales that are unfit to print. You're all weasel words, backed up by the boots, obsessed like the rest, with the promise of loot. Your pies will fade as you grow old. Your pies will fade as you grow old. Your pies will fade as you grow old. Your pies will fade as you grow old.
I love you.